I wasn't bluffing. President Trump wasn't bluffing. We're going to hold people accountable. No one's above the law. We heard that for 4 years. He's discussing to compare ICE officers to the Gestapo, to the Nazis. These men and women go out and put their lives on the line for this country every day. We're arresting national security threats that were on the terrorist watch list that was still released by the Biden administration. They're angry. They're embarrassed. Our success shows their failure.
Hello, America. From the Standing Rock Ranch, welcome to the program. One of the things that I think is the problem with our society is nobody knows how to critically think anymore. Nobody has any idea. I thought on YouTube it must be true. And they have no idea. Maybe I should ask some questions about this. So let me ask you, as you're watching the news today, if your political party got trounced in the last major election, and you were put in charge trying to rehabilitate the miserable image of your party because you were disconnected in a crazy way, so disconnected from what the people wanted that you were just trounced, would you go with the strategy of protesting for illegal alien criminals or against? Would your strategy include getting members of Congress to storm an ICE facility in New Jersey? I don't think so. Call me crazy. It doesn't seem like a winning formula for getting the average American voter to like you. And yet, this is the Democratic strategy. Lawlessness, political stunts, a ton of hypocrisy, and, of course, one big recent example, the confrontation at Delaney Hall. This is the ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey, where the Democrat, there you see, members of Congress and the Democratic mayor of Newark decided to play fast and loose with the law. So they bring all these protesters with them, and then as soon as the gates start to open, they bum rush it, okay? Now, this is an ICE detention center contracted by the Trump administration to hold illegal aliens. And by the way, this isn't some Trump had built or anything else. Delaney Hall also operated as an immigration processing facility for 6 years during the Obama administration, and you didn't hear a peep from anybody because nobody cares, okay? But politicians do. Does that make them more popular or less popular with the average person? Does it make them seem like they're on your side or, in this case, honestly, like gang members, murderers, et cetera, et cetera? Let's just ask this question. If you had to get elected by votes of people who are here legally and are citizens, what would be the benefit to go after ICE to say, I'm standing up for these people? This critical question needs to be answered. Most of the current detainees are not here just without papers. They have criminal records or ties to gangs like MS-13. Okay. They include murderers and rapists and drug traffickers. All right. Okay, that's not good, right? Now, let's go on from there. According to ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons, 75% of the 152 detainees at Delaney Hall have convictions or pending charges for serious crimes. So ICE is doing its job. They are keeping these illegals off the streets while deportation proceedings move forward. That sounds like common sense, right? No, not to the left. On May 9th, Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, who is trying to position himself to run for governor of New Jersey, decided, I'm going to create a spectacle. He showed up at Delaney Hall with 3 Democratic members of Congress. What happened? They were Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, LaMonica McIver, and Rob Menendez Jr. And if the last name of the last one sounds familiar, yes, he is the son of the former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez, who's now in prison for bribery and other crimes. But why not elect the whole family? I mean, if Joe Biden was good, surely Hunter has to be great. What was the stated goal of this group's field trip to Delaney Hall? Quote, to exercise oversight over the facility. Okay, that's done every day, right? But here's the thing. You have to follow protocol. You schedule a tour. You don't bum rush the fence. That, however, wouldn't make any headlines. So instead, they waited until the gate opened for a bus carrying detainees went in, and they rushed in with the other protesters in tow like they were some, medieval peasants storming the castle. Mayor Baraka got arrested for trespassing after ignoring multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to leave. Alina Habba, the acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey, didn't mince any words and great. Mayor Baraka, quote, has willingly chosen to disregard the law that will not stand in this state. No one is above the law. Isn't that the mantra we heard from the left? Every time they tried to pull something on Donald Trump, no one's above the law. Well, are you? She's right. Baraka was there to disrupt and shine a spotlight on himself. Clearly, so were the members of Congress who showed up. And as soon as it was over, they kicked the spin machine into high gear. They started to claim that ICE agents got rough with them. Really? Looks like they were just trying to do their jobs, conducting legitimate supervision when people are starting to storm the gates, keeping them out. But those evil ICE officers, they manhandled them. Sounds terrible. Unless you see the video footage from the incident. Once that began to surface, including the body cam footage from some of the ICE officers, it told a completely different story. So New Jersey Advanced Media put together a compilation of different angles of the confrontation, which shows the two congresswomen and others surrounding the mayor to prevent his arrest. Representative MacIver is the one with a red jacket. Watch this. Okay, so wait a minute. That seems like you're resisting arrest. Later, you can also clearly see Representative MacIver trying to elbow her way past ICE officers as she tries to follow the mayor through the gate after his arrest.
Don't touch the mayor! Don't touch him! Don't touch him! Oh, Jesus!
This is insane. It is so upside down. It's insane. Then Representative MacIver screams at the female ICE officer, alleging that another officer grabbed her or something.
Keep all your hands off of me! Hell wrong with you? You ever put your hands on me? Hell wrong with you? Hell wrong with you? Get your officer! Miss Perez! Miss Perez, get your officer! Get your hands off of her!
Can I ask you a question? This is an honest question. How much money would it take for you to be an ICE agent? There's not enough money in the world to make me show up and face this every day. And then when I leave, somebody might post my picture on a telephone pole and harass my family and threaten my life. For what? This wasn't ICE roughing up an innocent congresswoman. This was an elected official or two forcing their way into a secure facility to try to make a scene and make ICE look like the villains. Then, after it was all over, Representative Bonnie Coleman, went on CNN and had the audacity to claim this.
If there's any such body, any kind of footage, it is footage that is manufactured for this purpose. Because I said it before and I'll say it again, they are lying.
Oh my, we cannot have a country if we can't recognize the truth. We can't have a country. I am so sick and tired of these people pretending that they're Martin Luther King while they despise Martin Luther King and break every single rule. Every rule Martin Luther King had to peacefully protest was broken there. Please, the 60s are over. Okay, so she's saying ICE, whose agents risked their lives to protect our communities, somehow manufactured a video to frame the Democrats who caused the scene that they didn't know were going to show up. That is so desperate and delusional, it is stunning to me. Coleman then doubled down, saying ICE caused this chaos. And anyone calling them out is lying because, get this, President Trump gave his administration permission to lie. What? Let me ask that critical question again. What is your plan, Democrats? What is your plan to be popular? Because that ain't going to do it. This is what happens when you're an instigator. You have to flip the script to make yourself look like a victim. Martin Luther King never had to do that because he never engaged in yelling, screaming, pushing, elbowing, none of it. Naturally, the fake victims are digging in. Now, here's House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
What happens if they were to go and arrest these members, or if they would try to sanction them here in the House of Representatives?
They'll find out.
What would you do? What recourse? I mean, doesn't that broach a?
They'll find out.
Doesn't that go across?
That's a red line.
What's the red line, though? I mean, I know we have this.
It's a red line. It's very clear. No one's intimidated by this dude. No one. And so there are clear lines that they just dare not cross.
Let me ask you, what are the clear lines? Because I always thought the clear lines were the law. That's what it was, the law. You break the law, you pay for it. I just like the way he's like, they'll find out. They'll find out. You know, you come to me today and you ask me questions like that, you'll find out, huh? Like he's drawing a line in the sand. There's a line in the sand here. Oh, okay. Thank you for now telling me you're at the Alamo. The Trump administration better not touch this. You can't touch these lawmakers or else. If they break the law, what are they supposed to do? Now, this is the so-called leader of the House Democrats. He's not leading. He's defending lawlessness because he thinks, this tough guy, heroic bullcrap is actually going to play, and it might with the left-wing base. But the left-wing base is not the Democrats. Okay, did you not learn that? DHS, the spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin, asked the million-dollar question, and here it is. Who do they want released? Do they want the child rapist, the murderers, or the drug traffickers? Or maybe they want the MS-13 gang members. Or is it the known terrorist? Just tell us, who do you want released? That is the reality of who's in Delaney Hall. Yet these Democrats are out here pretending like they're superheroes from the civil rights era. By the way, they might want those guys released because remember, the left wing wants chaos on the streets. So it's to their advantage to have those people put back on the streets. Now, House Republicans are pushing back, introducing resolutions to possibly censure and strip these lawmakers of their committee assignments. Oh, no, not that. And then on Monday, the Justice Department charged Representative McIver for, quote, assaulting, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement. If she is convicted, she needs to pay every single day required in jail. No special favors. This incident should be a wake-up call, not just to them, but us. We have elected officials bum-rushing a federal facility, crying foul when they're called out, and accusing our law enforcement of faking evidence, and their leaders threatening to fight if justice comes a-knocking. This isn't about compassion for immigrants. It's about power, politics, a refusal to accept that borders matter, that they can even be a matter of life and death. ICE agents are out there putting their lives on the line every day in a thankless job, so I'll say it. Thank you, ICE. Thank you. Thank you for doing your job, a job I would never do. But most Americans have your back. Now, I wish I could say this is an isolated incident, but it's not. I think this is just the warm-up act. More on that in a little later. But first, I want to go to White House border czar Tom Homan. He is joining me next to talk about this. All right, so many people are living with pain every single day in, day out. It just is what it is, right? Well, yeah, that's what I thought, but it doesn't have to be that way. Let me tell you about Jenny from Texas. She has a relief factor story. Jenny wrote to me. She was out for a walk, and she said that she was hit by a car. Nothing she tried for her lower back worked. Her husband heard about Relief Factor, and Jenny said, okay, it's worth a try. Well, Relief Factor worked beautifully for her. Her range of motion increased, and she says, saying that I'm grateful is an understatement, end quote. If you are living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor can help you. This is a daily drug-free supplement. It will help your body help you feel better and live better every single day. Give their 3-week quick start a try. It's $19.95. In a few days, even weeks, a few weeks, even days, Relief Factor can make it so you're not spending the rest of your life in pain. Don't get stuck living in pain. Try this, please. ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. 800, the number 4, RELIEF. Joining me now is, I think, in some ways, a real-life superhero, Tom Homan. He is former police officer. He was with the Border Patrol. He also is a former acting director of ICE. He is now the White House border czar. From the White House now, welcome, Tom Homan. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I wake up every day like a kid in a candy shop, so I'm loving my job.
So let me get right to some of the things that are happening. First, let's start with Representative McIver from New Jersey, charged on Monday for, quote, assaulting, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement. She said those are purely political charges. What's your assertion of this?
Watch the tape. She ought to watch the tape and see what she did. Watch her actions. And I warned, Glenn, I warned from day one, right after inauguration, when all the hate started coming, I said on numerous interviews, you can hate ICE.
Yep.
You can support sanctuary cities. You can hate Trump and his policies, but you cannot cross that line. You can't cross the line on impediment. You can't cross the line on knowingly harboring, concealing illegal alien. You can't commit criminal trespass. You certainly can't put hands on an ICE officer. So, I wasn't bluffing. President Trump wasn't bluffing. We're going to hold people accountable. No one's above the law. We heard that for 4 years. Well, that includes members of Congress. That includes members of the judiciary. We got a couple of judges in trouble now. So we met what we said. You cross that line, we're going to seek prosecution.
Okay, so Eric Swalwell came out, posted this on X, and I'd love your read on this. He said a red line has been crossed. Trump is prosecuting his political enemies in Congress. This is just the beginning. We must take whatever we've done before to show dissent and go one rung higher. What does one rung higher mean to them? How do you interpret that?
I have no idea. They're going to try and impeach the president again? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we're not attacking political prisoners. Look at the tape, Eric Swalwell. Members of Congress are above the law. They keep saying, well, we're doing our oversight responsibilities. I've been involved in this for a long time. We do oversight tours almost every day across this nation. Yeah. There's a right way to do it. You show up, you identify yourself, you go through security and look, see whatever you want to see. Because there's one facility in New Jersey they're raising hell about. When people did get inside, what did they find out? They found out we had the highest detention standards in the industry. They found out this facility was the gold brand, better than any facility New Jersey's is built. If whether it's a county jail or state prison, we will show any of our facilities. Again, we spend a lot of money, billions of dollars building these facilities with the highest detention standards in the industry. We got nothing to hide. There's your oversight responsibilities means you need to follow the rules, you need to follow the law, you need to be professional. You don't force your way in a facility. You don't put hands on an ICE officer. What they did when they caused that ruckus, they made that facility less safe. There's a lot of bad people in that facility. We got to maintain security. We got to maintain safety for not only the officer, but the prisoners themselves and the general public. We have to concentrate on our duties, how we run that facility. And what she did that day, she broke the law and caused that facility to be unsafe for a certain period of time.
So let me get your response on something that Tim Walz just said during a graduation speech just last weekend. Watch.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense, not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye, just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared.
Your thoughts on that?
Did Lake and Riley have a chance to kiss her mom goodbye? I don't know how many angel moms and dads I met, hundreds, Didn't get a chance to kiss her kids goodbye. These are like President Trump's been committed. First of all, he's disgusting. He's disgusting to compare ICE officers to the Gestapo, to the Nazis. These men and women go out and put their lives on the line for this country every day. While he's sleeping in his bed at night, ICE officers are making his state safer by taking public safety threats off their street. So shame on him. You know, he says this, you know, all this happened during the same week of Law Enforcement Week. I'm attending Blue Mass in honor of the fallen law enforcement officers, state, local, and federal. I'm going to the Border Patrol Foundation. I'm going to the memorial service. I'm going to ICE memorial service. I'm going to the National Law Enforcement Memorial. The time period we respect the men and women who made that ultimate sacrifice, carrying that badge and gun, meeting with their families who are dealing with the loss of a loved one in a tragic way. Their lives will never be the same. So while we're we got people like him comparing law enforcement to the Gestapo. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting for anybody to compare ICE officers to the Gestapo. Compare what they're doing to racial cleansing, for God's sake. I mean, give me a break.
Let me, what did because I'm seeing a pattern here, and they're talking about ratcheting it up, and the extreme left has been dangerous already. You know, we saw what happened in Portland. What kind of threat do you think we're under now, or the ICE agents are under right now, from the left?
Oh, it's a great threat. And you want to know why agents are wearing masks? Because they're being doxxed all over the place. Their pictures are being put on telephone poles in major cities. These officers are under great threat. They're identifying. They put their home number. They put the phone numbers, their home address. It's just ridiculous. And you know, me myself, I've been under threats for a long time. I got a security detail with me all the time. I got Virginia State Police posted at my home because of the threats. I mean, I can't believe we're at a point where those who enforce the law are the bad guys. Those who break the law, the criminal, illegal aliens, and national security threats, they're the victims. MS-13 is a victim. TDA is a victim. The Democrats have lost their mind. But you know, I really hope they keep playing this game. I think it's going to destroy them from ever taking back the White House unless they agree with the American people who voted overwhelmingly for President Trump and his #1 issue, border security, immigration enforcement. They spoke loud, they gave him a mandate, and they keep pushing back against the mandate. They're upset because every day, Glenn, every day when we have a success, it proves their failure. Every day we have a success, it proved they lied about the border. They lied about proper vetting of the millions they released in the United States. We're arresting these people they released in the United States. They weren't properly vetted. They have significant criminal histories in their home country. They're a national security threat. We're arresting national security threats that were on the terrorist watch list that was still released by the Biden administration. They're angry. They're embarrassed. Our success shows their failure.
Can I ask why don't we? Because the argument against is habeas corpus, and habeas corpus, as you know, I don't mean to lecture you on it. You know how important that is. And in the Constitution, in Article 1, it does say not citizens; it says persons. But it doesn't. That doesn't guarantee a full trial or anything else. It just means there has to be somebody that is saying, "Are you here? You know, legally, illegally?" And they can make their case very quickly. I mean, you could do it on the border and knock all of this crap out on the 4-year wait where they're overwhelming our judicial system. Has there been any talk of the balance of habeas corpus at all, of expediting this stuff on spot? You pull them in, somebody is there, a appointed judge that is there that says, tell me the story, okay, there's a chance you're right. We'll put you over there. Nope. You're on that plane.
There's discussions going on as we speak, and we're looking at that. And habeas corpus, a due process. Here's what I need to understand. They say the people we removed under Alien and Enemies Act had no due process. Really? Because I know for a fact agents spent hundreds of hours on these cases, hundreds and hundreds of hours, looking through criminal history, immigration history, social media, confidential informant statements, undercover operations videos. All this sort of intelligence were brought on each one of these people. There was a lot of due process, hundreds of hours spent making sure, number one, they're illegally in the United States. 2, they are a member of a foreign terrorist organization, because Tren de Agua and MS-13 are designated terrorists. So a lot of due process was given. And when you talk about habeas, Can they tell me why they weren't concerned about habeas for the January 6th prisoners?
Mm-hmm.
The men and women that are locked up
Mm-hmm.
for a long time with no judicial process? Where are their habeas? So they're picking and choosing when they're concerned about the law, when they're concerned about the Constitution, when they're concerned about the habeas. Answer my question about the habeas with the January 6th folks, and I'll answer your question. That's why I love to tell the media.
Well,
answer my question first, and I'll answer second.
Yeah, I would say the same thing about civil asset forfeiture. Why does nobody care? That's citizens having their money taken away and no chance to get it back. That doesn't make sense.
I didn't think about that one.
Let me go into something.
I want to steal that one. I didn't think about that one. That's
no, go ahead. Example. Yeah. Let me give you let me ask you something. We're talking about, all of the vetting and everything else, but mistakes are going to be made. And there was a mistake with the Brazilian-American man from Massachusetts. He was interviewed on local news this week. Mistakes are going to happen in something this large. Does he deserve some sort of, I don't even know, restitution? Does he get an apology? What happens there? And what have we done to make sure that we are being as careful as we can?
Well, you're right. Mistakes are always going to happen. Every law enforcement agency makes mistakes. When you're dealing with millions and millions and millions of people from 181 different countries, with a really bad record-keeping system, where we're dealing with some, systems that are just, decades old. But we'll make things right. I mean, we're working closely with the Justice Department, make things right. I mean, but 99% of the time, 99.7% of the time, agents do a great job, but mistakes are made. You're dealing with a huge population. 10.5 million people came to the border from 181 different countries. Some have identification. Most of them destroyed their identification when they got to the border. We find thousands of passports and identification on the border every day. They assume a different identity when they get here. So they can get a job and steal somebody's social security number. There's just so much that these officers are dealing with. Once in a while, a mistake will be made, but I think this administration is committed to making it right. So work with the Justice Department and we'll fix it. But there is a meeting every day. Every single day I'm in a meeting where we talk about this process, making sure that we close the scenes, making sure there's no loophole here that's unaddressed. We're working on it every day. We'll get better at this every day.
How is the response to the One Home app?
It's been good. I mean, several thousand have signed up. We just did our first flight where we hosted that flight and sent them home. Matter of fact, I was told this morning that there was a quick over 4,500 signups in that last couple of days. Actually, we went into one of the facilities that people were pending removal proceedings and made the offer. You want to go home? We'll make arrangements to go home, and you get $1,000 for going. And just about half of the population raised their hands. So I think they understand the messaging is working. Look, you can leave on your own, get your affairs together, leave on your own. That's the most humane way to do this. And leave yourself an opportunity to come to the greatest nation on earth. President Trump's already promised, on legal immigration to open that aperture up, especially for farm workers and so forth. But if we have to go through the process of going through this whole process of finding you, having you formally ordered deported by an immigration judge, then you disappear and we got to go find you, to forcefully deport you, there's a bar placed on you, a bar in the statute from 5 years to 20 years, depending on what your charge is, of ever coming back, ever qualifying for the legal status. If you have a U.S. citizen child in this country, that child can petition for you someday when they're 18, and you can be a part of the greatest country on earth. Make that available to yourself. Come back on a visitor's visa, tourist visa, work visa. You're going to see more of that happening. So make yourself eligible to come back to the greatest nation on earth the legal way. And people say, why is that important? Well, I'll tell you why it's important. We got millions of people around the world taking their tests, paying their fees, getting their backgrounds investigation, being vetted to be part of the greatest nation on earth. We're the most given nation in the world. We bring more refugees and visitors and permanent residents in this nation than any other nation in the world. So play by the rules and give yourself an opportunity.
Any comment at all on the South Africa debacle that's going on. I mean, I try to find, information on this, Tom, and because the media in South Africa are either telling the truth, there is no problem, which I find very hard to believe, especially when you listen to their leadership and what they're saying, or they're just covering it up. Any comment on this situation and the people coming in?
I have not been in the weeds on that one. I've been busy with all this other stuff. So I'm not in the weeds on this one, but I'll say this. There's no color to refugees. We don't base refugee status on color. We base on the law and who's seeking to escape harm and persecution. It's not based on color. I know I read a lot of media stories, and a lot of the media is basing, because they're white. Refugee status isn't based on color. That's not the way the law is written. That's not the way we're doing things. But I'm not in the weeds on this one. I'm too busy dealing with sanctuary cities, getting operations across the nation. But
right.
We got a great system. Most giving nation in the world. We don't base anything on color.
I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. Again, our prayers are with you. Our thoughts are with you and the men and women who are on the front lines trying just to do the right thing and trying to play by the rules of the Constitution. Thank you very much, Tom Homan.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Next, we're going to expand on the resistance movement against Trump and his team on all of these things. I'm going to take you to Wisconsin, where we focus on a judge next. I can't believe it's Memorial Day weekend already. This Memorial Day, you're going to see a lot of sales, TVs, mattresses, grills, all of that. But this is something just a little different. In fact, entirely different. Jase Medical is now offering something that could literally save your life. You can now add ivermectin to your Jase case for just $1. For $1, you get ivermectin in your Jase case. Now, if you don't know, the Jase case is an emergency supply of prescription antibiotics, something that everybody should have on hand. Let's say you're going away this weekend. You're going up, Yellowstone. You're going camping someplace. You're up in the mountains and somebody gets sick. Do you have the medicine? If you had the Jase case, you would. You can now add ivermectin to that kit for next to nothing. And it doesn't stop there. You want to make sure the whole family is covered. And once you got that first case, you can take $50 off a second one or even off the kid case. This is not an impulse buy type of situation. This is about being ready when that moment comes, because when it does, you don't want to be stuck without any option. This is the difference between action and inaction, between preparedness and panic. Maybe between life and death, honestly. So go to jase.com, jase.com. Enter the promo code Beck at checkout for a discount on your order. That's promo code Beck at jase.com. Okay. Why are they doing this? Because the Democrats' radical illegal immigration agenda completely out of control. I mean, it goes without saying. It's also very hypocritical, which I'll get to in a minute. But first, let me say this. Let me give you the story that the Blaze covered last week about the 42-year-old Venezuelan hitman that was accused of 4 contract killings. He's also a lieutenant in the vicious Shamu. Is it Shamu? Is that, the whale? Anyway, it's a gang. In 2022, this guy waltzes right into the United States, thanks to the way the Biden administration rolled out the criminal welcome mat for illegal aliens. Now, according to ICE, this guy initially caught after illegally crossing the border in Arizona, charged as an inadmissible alien, and then released in the U.S. since that was the policy under Biden. But not just released. You might want to get some duct tape because blood is going to shoot out of your eyes. He was granted a work permit. Mm-hmm. So a guy who was wanted for 4 contract killings in Venezuela handed just a hall pass to roam free in America and get a job, because at the time the U.S. wasn't talking to Venezuela's government. It wasn't until February of this year, when Trump twisted Venezuela's arm to start taking back criminals, that ICE nabbed this guy in Grapevine, Texas, which is honestly in my backyard. He is now sitting in a detention center, but only after 3 years of freedom in our country doing God only knows what. I'm sure he turned over a new leaf. He's probably a minister at this point. Now, this happens day after day when you prioritize politics over public safety. Now, let me take you to Wisconsin, where the Milwaukee County Circuit Judge, Hannah Dugan, apparently thinks she's above the law. Here's a judge that is indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly helping an illegal immigrant from Mexico dodge ICE agents. This man, previously deported in 2013, he was in a court facing 3 misdemeanor battery charges. We're talking about a guy who allegedly punched one victim 30 times and brutalized a woman who tried to stop him. Both victims ended up in the hospital. So what does this judge, Judge Dugan, allegedly do? Well, according to the criminal complaint, she gets visibly angry and then confronts ICE agents with a confrontational, angry demeanor. And then she demands they leave her courtroom. Then she sneaks the illegal immigrant out through a jury door, a non-public exit, to help him escape. Fortunately, the feds caught him, but not before Judge Dugan's stunt put people at risk. Now, like it always seems to happen when we're talking about these left-wing stunts, the absurd hero worship started. Some on the left are comparing Judge Dugan to, wait for this, Harriet Tubman. Now, the only reason why I'm not as freaked out about this is because the left has done such a butcher job on our education system. Nobody knows who Harriet Tubman is anymore. But let me just remind you, that's the woman who risked her life to free enslaved people on the Underground Railroad in the 1800s. She's now being likened to a judge who tried to help a violent illegal immigrant evade justice. Of course, they're exactly the same thing. Who could say different? Leftist lawyer Jeffrey Mandel and his pals at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel tried to spin this as a modern-day Underground Railroad, comparing Dugan's actions to the heroic rescue of the runaway slave Joshua Glover in 1854. Oh my, are you kidding me? Really? The Mexican national that Judge Dugan tried to protect isn't a victim of oppression. He's accused of beating people senseless. This dumb comparison is an insult to Harriet Tubman's actual heroics and a desperate attempt to whitewash Judge Dugan's reckless behavior. She belongs in jail. Now, this is probably a good point to pause and remind you to keep in mind the big picture here. These meltdowns the left are having are because President Trump has prioritized trying to deport illegal aliens who have engaged in criminal activity. But the left paints this as Trump wanting to kick all immigrants out, prevent the world's poor and oppressed from finding a better life in America. And of course, he'll only welcome people in if they're white. Trump welcomes 59 white Afrikaners in from South Africa under the U.S. refugee admissions program. And the left, their hypocrisy goes in overdrive. These are farmers and their families fleeing racial persecution, land confiscation, and brutal violence in South Africa. We are talking about a country where the government passed a 2024 law allowing the seizure of private property without any compensation, where the Afrikaners are targeted. The Afrikaners, they're targeted there, and where political chants like kill the Boer are shrugged off as symbolic. I didn't know what kill the Boer was until a few years back. Apparently, Boer means farmer in Dutch and Afrikaans, and it's understood as referring to white farmers. So, kill Whitey. Watch this clip from a 2023 rally in South Africa where a leader of a political party called the Economic Freedom Fighters leads a massive crowd in the Kill Whitey chant. Watch.
Shoot to kill the mother, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa.
You notice the real hero of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, never said any of those words. And these things only popped up after he died. Now, how would that clip make you feel if you were a white farmer in South Africa? Safe? Now, in response to that video, Elon Musk, who remember is a native of South Africa, tweeted, and I quote, "They are openly pushing for genocide of white people in South Africa," end quote. But he's white. Can you really trust him too? You would think that the left, with their refugees welcome signs and endless sermons of compassion, would cheer this humanitarian move to admit a small group of farmers. But nope, they're furious. For example, here's Richard Stengel on MSNBC last week.
That's so deeply and morally wrong-headed and repulsive. These are the descendants of the people who created the most diabolical system of white supremacy in human history, apartheid. It's taking places away from refugees who are really being crushed by authoritarian governments and military governments for these folks who have never had anything happen to them. I mean, Trump amazingly called it a genocide, one of the worst lies I've ever heard him say. There's just been a small handful of farmers that have been killed over the past 10 years.
This is so deeply offensive. So first of all, I guess, it's only happening to white people and it's a small number, so it really doesn't matter. And these are descendants of people that blah, blah, blah. I don't care what their ancestors did. What are they doing today? Okay? And one person, one injustice, I learned this from Martin Luther King too. An injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, but not with these guys. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, who flew to El Salvador for that photo op of the so-called Maryland man, he called this a sick global apartheid policy. That doesn't even make sense. All right. This is one reason why I love Donald Trump. He has completely short-circuited the media. And I have to tell you, I've been on this story for, Ricky, I don't even know, 5-6 years. We've been trying to tell the story of South Africa, but nobody is credible. Nobody is credible. You can't get anybody to go on the record because they're all terrified for their life, or that's what they say. And nobody in the government wants to tell the truth if that's what's going on. Nobody will tell you anything on what's going on, so you don't know. However, you do see videos like I just showed you and more. So what does Donald Trump do today? He has the president of South Africa. Now, he's not the guy who was in any of these videos. He's the president of South Africa who has political parties running against him, and they're shouting, "Kill Whitey." Donald Trump just bypasses the media and turns the White House Oval Office into, I don't even know, like a reality show. Hey, by the way, I have the president of South Africa here. Can you tell me what's going on? Nothing's going on. Really? Let's watch this. Look what he did.
Burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers. And those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross. And there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving. They're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed.
Now, because he made one mistake, he said these are all burial sites. They're not. They're just crosses. We've seen them on the sides of our highways, too. Somebody dies. They put a cross where they died. This is not where they died. This is not where they're buried. They just represent another farmer. And the testimony is all of the people that are in the cars that loved those people, knew those people. The Episcopal Church, which has resettled 105,000 refugees and then bragged about aiding undocumented immigrants, they're thrilled with all of this stuff. They just announced that they refuse to help resettle any of these white Afrikaners, and it's ending its 40-year partnership with the federal government. Well, good. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. Presiding Bishop Sean Rowe cited the church's commitment to racial justice and South Africa's apartheid history as reasons to ditch the program. So you'll keep illegal immigrants who have killed people, no questions asked. But 59 persecuted white farmers, hard pass on that one. In fact, such a hard pass, we got to get out. Just to recap, Democrats and their allies are fine with letting in Venezuelan hitmen, giving them a work permit, looking the other way while he roams free, cheer a judge who risks public safety to shield another violent illegal immigrant, comparing her to Harriet Tubman, and then welcome the 10 million illegal immigrants that were swept into this country on Biden's watch. But when it comes to 59 South African refugees who happen to be white, they lose their minds and scream racism and shut down the entire resettlement program. I'm sorry, but genocide has no color barrier. It's so telling. This is not about compassion. It's about ideology. It's about racial agenda that says borders should be open to criminals but closed to those who don't fit the right narrative. So what, again, is the left's plan, the Democrats' plan? The hypocrisy would be so hilarious if it wasn't so pathetic and dangerous. The left claims to champion refugees, but when refugees are white, suddenly they don't qualify legitimate cases. They'll risk going to prison to protect an illegal immigrant accused of domestic violence. They'll vilify Afrikaners fleeing murder and land theft. Clearly, the left-wing morality is based on race. To the left, some victims are worthy and others aren't. Just depends the color of the shade of your skin, because somebody way back might have done something wrong. America, we are at a crossroads. We can keep letting in unvetted criminals while turning away the persecuted, or we can take a stand for actual justice, for actual safety, for actual fairness. President Trump is trying to clean this mess up, but the radical left is fighting him every step of the way. And unfortunately, I think they're just getting started, and I'll show you what that means next. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about our sponsor this half hour. It is Home Title Lock. Look, some scammers can actually steal your home from underneath you. I know that sounds crazy. The FBI now calls it house stealing, and it's a growing real estate scam targeting American homeowners, and it's really easy to do. Here's how it works. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, but criminals forge your signature on one document. They take a fake notary. They get that notarized, they pay a small fee, file it with your local recorder's office, and just like that, your house is there. The title has been transferred. They can go then to the bank and they can take out a loan using your home as equity. You don't even see it. They sell the property behind your back. Pretty soon somebody's moving into your house and you're like, what's going on? And then the bank is saying, we got to foreclose on you because you owe us all this money. And you're saying, what is happening here? Home Title Lock. That's the answer to solve this. Home Title Lock. I want you to go to HomeTitleLock.com. HomeTitleLock.com. Make sure you use the promo code Glenn250. Promo code Glenn250. You click on the link in the description. Make sure that you check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. That's how HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Glenn250, works. Get the protection and peace of mind you deserve. Tomorrow on radio, because I'm out of time, I got to tell you about Norm Eisen, former Obama White House ethics czar. He's put together a little group, and the strategy is laid out in a playbook called Firewall for Freedom. It was obtained through a public records request by the Daily Signal. The plan includes model executive orders for governors to use in blocking National Guard deployments they don't like, and to refuse state resources for federal immigration enforcement. They're plotting to undermine the federal government, and that is exactly why they're preparing to obstruct the National Guard deployments and start to whip things up. It would be very convenient if these obstructions, just like the last one that we just saw, if some sort of riots or whatever breaks out against ICE. Here's Governor Pritzker talking about it.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption. But I am now.
I will lay this whole case out. It'll blow your mind tomorrow on radio. Right now, from the Standing Rock Ranch, good night, America.